You've seen it, every Indian city, every road trip, every morning commute. Cranes, excavators, broken footpaths, half-built flyovers that have been half-built for 3 years, pylons standing in the middle of nowhere, concrete dust in the air. And you've thought, what is going on? Is it corruption, bad planning, and incompetent government? Politicians stealing money? Those are the obvious answers, but they're surface answers. Today, we go deeper. First principles. First principles thinking means this. You stop accepting inherited explanations and you ask, what is actually fundamentally true here? So let's ask the real question. Not why is construction so slow, but something more precise. Why does the demand for urban infrastructure in India structurally outpace the supply of it permanently? That's the actual phenomenon. Construction that never ends isn't a bug. It might be a mathematical inevitability. Let's find out why. Start here. India is the most populous country on Earth. But here's the number that changes everything. Only about 36% of Indians live in cities. In China, it's 65%. In Brazil, 87%. In the US, 83%. That gap is not a statistic. It's a pressure system. Every single year, somewhere between 8 to 10 million people move from rural India into urban India. Every single year. Now think about what a city needs per person. Roads, sewage lines, water pipes, metro rails, bridges, hospitals, schools, housing. The infrastructure needed isn't linear, it's compounding. Because a city of 10 million doesn't just need twice the infrastructure of a city of 5 million. It needs exponentially more because density creates complexity, traffic intersections, water pressure gradients, drainage load. So the first principle is this. India is mid-urbanization at a scale and speed the world has rarely seen. Construction isn't lagging. It's chasing a moving target that moves faster than it can run. Here's the second layer. India's cities were not built for this. Mumbai's core drainage system, designed by the British for a city of under 1 million people. Delhi's original master plan, 1962, when Delhi had 2.6 million residents. Today it has over 32 million. These cities were not incrementally expanded. They were overwhelmed. People arrived faster than systems could be designed, funded, tendered, contracted, and built. And here's the brutal truth about infrastructure. It has long lead times. You can't build a metro line in 18 months. The Delhi Metro's phase I took 7 years. Phase IV is still ongoing after years of delays. So you have demand that moves at population speed and supply that moves at institutional speed. That gap is the construction you see everywhere. Now here's where it gets interesting. And this is the part most people skip. Everyone says Indian cities have bad governance, but let's be more precise. Indian cities suffer from a coordination failure across multiple sovereign bodies. Think about what happens when one road in Bengaluru gets dug up. Who digs it? Maybe BBMP, the municipal body, is laying stormwater drains. Then BWSSB, the water board, also needs to lay pipes on the same stretch. Then BESCOM, the electricity utility. Then BSNL or Jio for telecom conduits. Then NHAI if it's near a national highway. Each of these is a separate legal entity, with separate budgets, separate procurement cycles, separate contractors, separate timelines. They do not talk to each other. So what happens? The road gets dug. Filled, dug again 3 months later by someone else. Filled again, dug again. This isn't corruption. It's the absence of a single coordinating authority with power over all utilities simultaneously. The 74th Constitutional Amendment of 1992 was supposed to give cities this power. In practice, most Indian states never transferred the mandated functions to municipal bodies. Urban local bodies remain financially and administratively weak. First principle, you cannot coordinate what you cannot control, and Indian cities control very little of what happens inside them. Let's go even deeper. Where does infrastructure money actually come from? In most Indian cities, municipal corporations have thin tax bases. Property tax collection is inefficient. In many cities, assessed values haven't been updated in decades, meaning they're dramatically below market rates. So cities depend on state governments. State governments depend on central transfers and their own revenue. Central funding comes through schemes, AMRUT, Smart Cities Mission, PM Gati Shakti, each with their own approval chains, utilization deadlines, and compliance requirements. Here's the key dynamic. Scheme-based funding creates deadline-driven construction. A city receives money that must be utilized, meaning spent, contracted, and physically started within a fiscal year. Otherwise, the funds lapse, so you get rushed procurement. Multiple projects starting simultaneously. Contractors stretched thin, quality compromised, and the projects that get funded aren't necessarily the ones most needed. They're the ones most compatible with the scheme's design. A city that needs sewage rehabilitation might get a smart streetlight project because that's what's currently fundable. First principle, infrastructure priorities are shaped by funding architecture, not urban need. One more layer, the supply side. India's construction contracting ecosystem is dominated by small and medium contractors. The big names L&T, AFCONS, NCC handle large projects. But the last mile, the neighborhood road, the local drain, the footpath repair, that's handled by small local contractors bidding in public tenders. These contractors often win on the lowest bid. Lowest bid means thinnest margins. Thin margins mean corner cutting. Or they win the bid, realize it's not viable, slow walk the project hoping for a revised estimate. This is called a variation claim, and it's endemic. Meanwhile, labor in India's construction sector is almost entirely migrant, informal, and unorganized. No consistent workforce. No skills certification at scale. Seasonal availability drops during harvest cycles in source states. So even with money, even with a contract, even with a deadline, execution hits a last-mile labor and quality constraint that is structural. So, let's build back up from the first principles. Indian cities look perpetually under construction because of 5 compounding forces. 1. Urbanization at unprecedented scale, 8 to 10 million new urban residents per year, means demand is permanently ahead of supply. 2. Legacy infrastructure built for much smaller populations is being simultaneously upgraded and expanded, meaning old work and new work coexist in the same streets. 3. Fragmented governance, multiple agencies with overlapping mandates and no unified city authority, means the same ground gets dug multiple times. 4. Scheme-based funding creates a fiscal calendar that forces rush starts, artificial deadlines, and misaligned priorities. 5. A thin, informal contractor ecosystem creates consistent last-mile execution gaps. None of these is primarily about corruption. Corruption exists, yes. But these 5 forces would create perpetual construction even in a zero-corruption system. That's the first principle's answer. The next time you're stuck behind a concrete mixer at 9 a.m., cursing the broken median and the orange barricades, remember this: you're not watching failure. You're watching a country of 1.4 billion people trying to build, in 30 years, what most of the developed world built across a century. It's messy. It's disruptive. It often looks chaotic. But the first principle of Indian cities is this: they are not broken. They are becoming. And becoming, at this scale, is the most ambitious infrastructure project in human history. First principles decode, peel back the obvious, find what's actually true.